we are back. Welcome, everybody. I am excited to be back. The wait is finally over, and we are ready for season number 10 of the SRL TCR Championship as we kick off from the Circuito de Jerez here in Spain. It is going to be an absolutely fantastic evening of racing. The pre-seasons are over and done with. The wait is finally over, and we have a full pack of drivers prepared for this season with over 20 teams, 22 teams in fact, with 50 drivers signed up, and with the majority of those getting down on track here for the opening round of the season. It is going to be action-packed as always. If you are new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button here on SRL TV and hit that like button as well on the YouTube. And if you're watching over on the Twitch, hit that follow button as well. That way you'll catch every single race as we'll be live at this time every single Friday from now until the end of the season. And what a calendar it is going to be. Those pre-season events are done, and we are here at the Jerez Moto layout, which is without the chicane at turn 11. It is a fast and flowing layout. It is going to be great fun to watch tonight. We head across to Motegi next week on January 16th before we go to the first of many American races this season. We head to the streets of Long Beach for the third round of the season. Summit Point is up next, a quick circuit that is familiar with anyone who has got down on the iRacing service, that's for sure. We then head over to the tight circuit of Hungaroring to mark the halfway point in season number 10. Virginia International Raceway comes in at round 6. We're running the full course of that one. It is fast, it is feisty, it is going to be a great return to America for the 6th round. 7th round, we head across to Mugello, a brilliant circuit, very flowing again, has had some spectacular races there in the past. Sure to have it here this season, season number 10. Brands Hatch, round number 8 is going to be where these touring cars shine for me personally. It is one of my favorite circuits in the world. I feel like I say that to almost every circuit. I was watching back some of my previous videos, and yeah, I say that to almost every circuit, particularly British ones. I think I'm a bit biased there. We'll move on. We headed back to Spain for the 9th round of the season. We head across to Catalonia. It's known as the historic layout on iRacing. Of course, it's the way they have returned to in real life as well, without the final chicane. And then we head across to Road America for the 10th round and final round of the season in March 13th. I mean, that's 2 months away. We have got a huge amount of races to come, and it all starts here tonight at the wonderful Jerez circuit. 4 kilometers long, just under 3 miles. It is a circuit that has hosted the Formula One Grand Prix in the past, the Spanish Grand Prix and the European Grand Prix, although it is technically banned from ever hosting a Grand Prix again due to a podium incident with the mayor of Jerez back at the 1997 round. Of course, the chicane that we're skipping today was introduced in the 1990s following a career-ending accident for a Formula One driver around turn number 11, obviously coming off of the back of the Ayrton Senna fatal accident as well. It was aptly named the chicane Ayrton Senna. We won't be running that chicane tonight. We will be running the original Grand Prix layout, the layout that is still used for the motorbikes today. 13 turns, therefore, our drivers are going to turn around the circuit tonight. Every single lap that they complete, 2 races on offer. And if you are joining us for the first time this season, then hello and welcome to the commentary booth here in SRL TV and Joseph Wright Broadcasting. We bring you the commentary, the action, the broadcast for the whole of season number 10, and I am amped up for it. We stepped in at the second half of season 9, and it was brilliant touring car action from start to finish. I cannot wait to be here all season long for season number 10. And what a change we have. There are a couple of rule changes. We'll go across those. I feel like they're just something we need to touch on just a little bit here is pole position per class. They're now going to get 5 points if they're able to get that class pole. Of course, when I track my pole positions, I'm tracking them on my sheet per overall pole. However, there is in the Discord as well all of the extra stats. If you want to go out and check over the Discord, then the QR code is over on the right hand side of the screen, and you can get over the Discord. All of the stats and results are put up into there as well. Another change for classes in themselves, fastest laps have now been increased to 3 points bonus added onto them. And to keep it nice and clean this season, the incident limit count has been reduced to 15, which means if drivers visit the off-track too many times, which at this circuit is very easy to do, that's for sure, they get into a few more scrapes than they would hope to, then I know that there are going to be a few drivers who would have to come down and serve some penalties. Drivers will be trying to avoid those in the 2 races tonight. That's right, we still have our 2-race format, starting with our 20-minute race to start with, which is set by the grid order of qualifying, and then we have our second race following that, which will be set by the race results from race number 1, but with the top 15 reversed. That has now been confirmed. Of course, we were just waiting for that confirmation. The top 15 are going to be reversed. The biggest change this season that you guys need to know about, we have a new class. That's right, last season we were running the pros, the pro-ams and the ams, but that pro-am field was so stacked, it was full of drivers, that they've split that class into 2, and now our ordering goes from pro to our new class of semi-pro, down to our pro-ams, and then our amateur class. When they get up onto your screen, and you're going to notice the colours again on the left-hand side behind their racing number, then you are going to need to notice that Pro is going to be your blue class this year. They have changed. The Pro is now the blue class. Then we'll have our semi-pros. They're going to be in the green class. That's our new class to add on. So if you're looking at that green, that's the new bridge between the Pro-Ams and the Pros. It's that green semi-pro class. You then have your Pro-Ams, which are the purple coloured class when they head down there onto the field. And then our Ams, they stay nice and steady. They're going to stay as red this year. So if you notice those red backgrounds behind the numbers, that is our amateur class. Now, Dan Mould is the only defending champion in class this season. He won the pros last season and the overall championship. He is going to be defending that by staying in the pro class, staying in that overall at the top, of course, and will be trying to take a back-to-back title here in season number 10. Our Pro-Am winner from last season, he's not going to be here. Cooper Akers is not going to be here in season number 10, which is a shame, but it means that our Pro-Am championship has no defending title. Of course, our semi-pros, there's no champion there. Whoever wins this year is going to be the first ever semi-pro champion. And our amateur champion, Lucas Henschel, won the amateur championship in season number 9. However, with that, he has now made the step up into the Pro-Am field. Is he going to be able to go back-to-back titles in 2 separate classes? It's going to be a lot of work for Lucas Henschel, but I'm sure he is up for it. With that being said, qualifying is about to begin here at the Jerez circuit, so I think it is time to step away from the commentary booth and down onto the circuit for the first official time of season number 10. This is going to be an absolutely brilliant one indeed. Drivers then heading out of pit lane, and it is going to be busy out there. A lot of teams, of course, to be keeping an eye on as well. 22 teams heading out there. Only 8 drivers in this championship are not a part of a team. So it means that there'll be a lot of skins and paints that you are going to recognise between drivers. We will try our best as well to keep that bottom third up throughout this season, so you know who we're watching and you can see what team they're a part of. We are watching right now Logan McKenzie, the number 4 machine, and he is running an independent this year, so he has not got any teammates out there on track. And really, there are some teams that are going to have a benefit this season of having those teammates, not only because you're in a pair, you've got your close teammate, there are a lot of sister teams out there. The SRL Posse, they have 5 teams. There are 10 drivers racing under the SRL brand. You've got SRL Green, SRL Rosso, SRL Purple, SRL Blue, and SRL White. So those 9 drivers actually, because Andrew Lovesey and SRL White is the only driver in that team. So there's 9 SRL White drivers out there. Jas have got 2 teams out there. Jas Esports with Kev Aylett and Paul Hurley. You then got Jas Gold with the defending champion, I would argue, but champion of the AM Championship last year, Lucas Henschel, teammate of Chris London. So there's 4 Jas drivers out there. Then you've got the JC Academy drivers. Jay Corley, of course, leading that one. You have got 3 teams. There's 6 drivers under that umbrella. There is a lot out there that may be trying to help each other out. Qualifying then, drivers have completed their outlaps and they are getting started, and I think it is time to see what this Jerez circuit is all about. Logan McKenzie now coming through turn number 2 of Curve Michelin, and then it switches across to the left for turn number 3. Push out wide, make sure you don't get the off track, and this swooping corner of 4, very easy to get it onto the gravel on the outside. But again, you want to swing to the left to tuck it in for Curvecito Bonds, or turn number 5. Put the throttle down, and now it's a straight line all the way down to Curva Danny Pedrosa of turn number. Get heavy onto the brakes just after the 100-meter board on the left-hand side. You get it over that curving on the right, push it out to the left, and now you switch it across yet again. So open up the corner for turn number 8 of Curva Jorge Martinez Aspinall. We get in to turn number 8. That's the driver off in front. Hopefully it won't distract McKenzie. He stays out of the way. A little bit of gravel coming on the circuit there, and that did look like it was Kim Andre Borkland who went off there. Turn number 9 there, Curve Angelito, and into Curve Paluca of turn 10. This is where this chicane Ayrton Senna is on the right. We're going to skip that and go to Curve Alex Crivel of 11. Into Curve Ferrari of turn number 12. Again, putting your foot down and try and get as far as you can. Heavy onto the brakes for a complete 180-degree hairpin of Curve Jorge Lorenzo through turn number 13, and across the timing line will go as it will try to break the beam here from Logan McKenzie as drivers start to put in their timing, their times. Let's have a little look at how they are doing out there. As there we go, we got the first of our times on the board. This is Lucas Henschel running in Jas Gold. He is looking to go in back-to-back titles, stepping up out of the amateur class, up into that purple Pro-Am field this season. Remember, on the left-hand side, those colours, the blue is our pro drivers, the green is our semi-pro drivers. Those 2 colours have changed for this year, so just keep your eye out on those 2. Now we head up towards the hairpin once more of Curve Danny Pedrosa here for turn number 6. Now Henschel is in a very big train of drivers that's going to help him on the straights. Is it going to hinder him through the corners? At the moment, Anthony Lammer is the only pro driver to have put in a presentable lap time at the top there, as we see Gonzalo Oliveira go up to 3rd position in the Pro-Am field. Now, this is something to remember, that these classes can be changed up until the end of round 3. So round number 4, we could see some changes to the classes, but from round 4, it'll be all the same. Just to keep an eye out on that you may see some drivers changing classes as the races, as the events wind on up until round number 4. Now, Lucas Henschel is part of this gaggle of cars that's going to come across the timing line. Will it be a lap time on the board here for Lucas Henschel, or will it be yet another invalid lap? And that's certainly the case. Only about half of the field have been able to get in a valid lap at the moment, as SRL Green is part of that huge posse of SRL drivers. This is John Brown heading around in the green semi-pro class, as now we start to see the pro drivers finding their way towards the front of the overall field. And at the moment, it is Adam Dalmont of Next Gen Racing Green who is the fastest in this session. Dalmont was quick last season in the races he attended. He wasn't always able to get the best results, however. Is he going to be able to get it onto pole position here for the first round of the season, or will Dan Mould find his way back on to pole position for this season? Most poles in the overall, in the Pro Championship was went the way of Kim Borkland last season. He took 4 poles in the 10 races. Can Borkland do something similar this season? He's currently 4th fastest as Dalmont goes across the timing line. Here is Kim Borkland racing for Sim Racing Forces Norway. A combination of a team here for Kim Borkland alongside Ronald de Jongs. We see that mishmash livery on both of their cars of the Norway scheme on the right hand, on the sides, and the Sim Racing Forces over the top of that car. Of course, we do have aligning with that is the Hydro Race Racing Forces, of course, as well, which is run by Demis Tichler and Vanek van Reenen. Tichler and de Jong teammates last year. They haven't gone separate ways. They are just running under 2 separate banners. So you could argue that that is another team alliance between different pairings out there. More drivers getting names on the board, as Jack Bolton won't be too happy with his current 23rd position, and we're going to see if we can get that actually to display the overall position there. There we go, that's a lot better. 24th position for Jack Bolton right now. He'll be wanting to try and find some time, get himself up towards the front of those pros, as Luciano Espinera also wanting to get up towards the other pros, but he is currently without a valid lap. 10 minutes down here in qualifying. We've got about 5 more minutes to go at the moment as we head around the racing circuit. It is Adam Dalmont, the fastest at the moment here in the qualifying session. Dan Mould, defending champion in that number 1 machine, is 2nd fastest, but only a few hundredths of a second ahead of Jaden Scotton, who's in 3rd right now. Logan McKenzie was the first of the men from abroad. It then went to Kim Borkland in 4th, and Jack Bolton has just proved me wrong in finding, well, he said he wanted to find his way forward. He certainly has, because he's found his way to provisional pole position by just 400ths of a second at the moment to Adam Dalmont. Dan Mould then down to 3rd as it stands, as we do have well, I was about to say we do have a semi-pro driver getting in the mix of John Brown. Demis Tichler in the Pro-Ams getting in the mix there as well. They sit 7th and 8th, splitting Anthony Lama and Espinera, who has now got in a valid lap time from the rest of the pros. Mark Draper dropping Will Lyon behind as well, who sits in 12th position right now. Cole Hardy finds some time, placing him into the 14th as it stands, but the top 18 at the moment are separated by just 1 second. We still are waiting for some drivers to get invalid lap times, including the Season 9 amateur champion, Lucas Henschel, yet to put in a valid lap here around the Jerez circuit. Now, like I said, it is very easy to pick up off tracks, and I was mentioning that because of the instant limit being reduced this season. However, of course, being easy to pick up off tracks, your lap times are very easily invalidated too. It took a while to see all of the drivers getting their lap times in, but that is Henschel. He's pushed wide. It hasn't come up as an off track on my timing screen. Could this be Henschel getting in a valid lap this time, or was that just a bit too much there? He did kick up the gravel as Henschel crosses the timing line. Is it a time on the board? It is still not a valid time for Lucas Henschel, so either he's run off the track earlier than that, or that point in which we saw was in fact an off track for Henschel. His last lap time was a 50.5. Now, if that was a valid lap time, it would place him in 30th. So still not as high as he was probably hoping to be in that Pro-Am class. But he has got a few races, obviously, to settle in, find his way around before the competition really heats up. We've had a couple of pre-seasons. The points are on offer now. Drivers are looking to find that time around this circuit with 2.5 minutes left in qualifying, a lap time being just under 2 minutes long here, as Dan Mould has also found some time on his best lap, but it's not enough to get onto the front row of the grid right now, and he still sits in 3rd position and down pit lane to add, as well as we have a little look at Will Lyon, who's out there at the moment in the number 20 machine, another driver running an independent here, one of 8 on this season, and what a great field of drivers. What, 37 cars are preparing to go racing here tonight for the first 2 races of the season, and Jack Bolton just finds a huge step of time over the rest of the field. He's gone a 48.474. That is all but cemented his pole position, the first one of the season. He took pole at Alton Park as Jaden Scotton just misses out in the JC Academy Emerald. He misses out by less than 300ths of a second on pole position. What could have been for Jaden Scotton, and the step into team management here from Jay Cooley. It's not enough right now, and it won't be pole position for Jaden Scotton. Adam Delmont is running around trying to get in. One more valid lap. Will it be enough to displace Scotton or Bolton ahead? As we head up now through turn number 11 on 12 and into Curve, Jorge Lorenzo of 13 through onto the brakes, through left-hander, pushing it hard. Will Adam Delmont find time to take pole position? He slows across the line. No time found there from Adam Delmont, as drivers now take a back seat here in qualifying, and we come to a close for the first qualifying session of the season, and it is pole position for Jack Bolton, can he replicate his pre-season success of converting that pole into a race win? That is going to be the question. But Jack Bolton will be starting on pole position ahead of Jaden Scotton. Adam Delmont will be starting in third ahead of Dan Mould. Kem Borkland will be starting in fifth. And Will Lyon in sixth position. Seventh position goes the way of Logan McKinsey. And the first of the semi-pros, the new class, is John Brown in eighth, ahead of Titchler and Lama. Espinera comes into 11th on the grid, ahead of Mark Draper. 13th position is Lovesey, ahead of Hardy and Downing. Deck Crowther is in 16th position. 17th is an amateur driver of Jack Brown, ahead of Marhan Kodeman. Then we have Craig Walters, the first of the Pro-Ams, ahead of Daniel Lewis and Stuart Gibbons. Then it's Levera in 22nd, 23rd to Kev Ayler ahead of Paul Hurley. 25th goes to JB Deshay ahead of Thomas Coombe. Then it's Saunders and De Jong. Gibbons in 29th ahead of Torburn Mayle, ahead of Garrity and Henschel, the defending amateur driver, up to the Pro-Ams this season. Olsen Leah is in the amateur class and will start in 33rd, ahead of Chris London. Andy Littler will start in 35th, ahead of James Brown. And Yannick Van Wienen will start at the back of this field. Jack Bolton, though, is going to be the man to start this one on pole position. And the first race of the season is about to begin here on the SRL TV. We are about to begin, so I hope you are ready for the action-packed race ahead. 20 minutes on the clock. Bolton on pole ahead of Jaden Scotton. And we are green and away here for the first race of the season. Round one at Jerez. Bolton gets a good launch. Scotton goes defensive into turn number one. Delmont looks to try and get around the outside. Can't do it. Lyon gets up the inside of McKinsey as they go through turn number one. It is all clean behind as we remain side by side. Up ahead, it is still side by side for second position as Jaden Scotton now under attack from Adam Delmont. Jack Bolton is pulling away at the front of the field as Kim Borkland wants to get involved, could invite Dan Mould into that one, but Adam Delmont's up to second. Borkland finds his way through, and after a great qualifying, Scotton finds Borkland as we head up towards turn number 6. We're going to get on the brakes, it's side by side. Scotton on the inside. He's going to have to switch around to the outside of Borkland now, but can he hold on to the podium? On the outside line, it goes the way of Borkland, and here comes Dan Mould. Looks to the inside, there's not quite enough overlap there at the front of the field, and Mould finds himself off the circuit. He does get himself back on, but down to 8th position overall, having to fight now with Demis Titchler as they come up towards turn number 11. No chicane to contend with here, as just behind that's Anthony Lama looking to try and get around the outside of Mark Draper. Draper was pushing to the inside. There's drivers onto the gravel kicking it up as we push hard off the circuit. In the background there was JB Deshay, and around goes the 84 machine of Mark Draper. He will have to get his SRL purple machine back the right way and getting it back into the race. He'll be a long way down, a very hard recovery drive he will have to do from here as we get on to lap number 2 of this race. It remains relatively tight all the way through the field, including here Lovesey fighting with sister teammate Daniel Downing, the 17 and the 3 here. This is for 12th position overall right now, and it is going to go the way of Daniel Downing ahead of Lovesey as it stands as we go through turn number 5. It has settled themselves down, but the gap in front has opened up significantly here, and they are seeing That train of drivers ahead just pulling away, which includes class leaders in that semi-pro field and, of course, the Pro-Am field. Demis Titchler in that Pro-Am field ahead of the semi-pro drivers as it stands. Like I said, the classes can change up to round 4, so we could see some drivers getting promoted from good results. They will be pushing hard as they head around, though. This is back to the fight at the front of the field. Adam Delmont has closed up that gap that Bolton managed to open up on the opening lap of the race with the fighting going on. Bolton was very quick in qualifying. Can he replicate that pace here? Kim Borkland is pushing hard behind Delmont as well, and Dan Mould has recently found his way back into 7th and looking to try and fight this front of the field as well. Behind, though, it's side by side between Titchler and Brown. Even though their classes show, they're fighting their class championships, they take points from their overall race results. The Titchler is going to be trying his hardest to hold on to this position ahead of those behind, which includes John Brown, but also 2 pro drivers of Anthony Lammer and Luciano Espinera as well, who will be wanting to get past, I'm sure, when they get on to the rear end here, as most drivers now settling itself down in race number 1. They're just getting their foot in, learning how to race with the drivers around them, of course, and seeing what potentially they could do later on in that race. The top 15 from this race will be reversed to those just out of the top 15, which includes the amateur leader Jack Brown, could be pushing just a little bit harder than usual towards the end of this race to find their way into that reverse grid pole position. Kevin Aylett gets past Paul Hurley. Hurley now under attack from Ronald Dion. Dion goes to the outside, tries to hang it around the outside of Paul Hurley here as they head through turn number 8 and up to 9. Is going to swatch over the way of Dion, but Hurley has already held that position and will hold on to P number 23 as it stands. But you can see that De Jong is all over the rear end as that's for the lead. Dalmont dives up the inside through the final turn. Here's the move. And it was almost a move from Borkland, who tried to move in to P number 2, past Jack Bolton. Couldn't quite do it. Scotton with the purple is now right on the rear end of this podium battle. Bolton looked for just a moment to try and get up the inside of Dalmont, a little bit too far back, so won't be able to achieve that as they are continuing to fight hard in this first race of the season. It really does matter, these early points. Getting that consistent result in, of course, from the get-go is going to have a significant impact on your championship, even with the drop weeks that will be applied. 2 drop weeks, of course, across the course of this season. They cannot be dropped in the final round, however. So drivers that aren't having their best go of it here can find this round dropped later on if they have a disastrous run. But right now, it's not a disastrous run for any of the pro drivers that sit inside the top 7 right now. Anthony Lammer and Luciano Espinera. I wouldn't consider this a disastrous run, but it's certainly not a run that they would be hoping for with other classes in the mix ahead of them right now. This is continuing to be the chase for the win in this one, but behind Torburn Mayo now, potentially looking to try and get past Ben Gibbons as we head up towards turn number 11 as we skip the chicane, and it looks like Lucas Henschel wanting to get involved in this one as well. Henschel in the Pro-Am field, it's the amateur drivers ahead of him. He looks to the outside, Mayo holds into the middle of the circuit, and it looks like it was about to go 3 wide behind. It does not, as it looks like we may, oh no we don't, I thought we may have lost Adam Dalmont. We certainly didn't, which is fortunate indeed. But Adam Dalmont continues to run around now at the front of this field ahead of Bolton. Falkland still behind, but is right on the rear end of Jack Bolton. Would have seen how Delmont was able to dive up the inside of turn 13, and will be thinking about how he could do the same potentially as this race continues. We head up now towards turn number 6, the curver Danny Pedrosa, and it is almost side by side behind as Will Lyon look to the outside of Logan McKenzie. It wasn't quite enough of an overlap though, and he slots in behind once more. This is the fight for a top 5. It's not away from the top 4, but it certainly isn't right on the rear of them. If they start scrapping ahead though, these 3 drivers will definitely be invited, and that includes the defending pro and overall champion of Dan Mould, who is running in that number 1 machine this year. Well, this season, I should say, of course, as we head through turn number 11, up towards turn number 12, and Falkland once again on the back end of Bolton here, but not quite enough to get to the inside of that one, and we'll have to run around in 4th, we'll have to run around in 3rd position still, with 4th going the way of Jaden Scott and dropping off just a small amount there, but Dan Mould was able to get past Logan McKenzie through the previous corner. Get past Will Lyon. Through the previous corner at the final turn here. Let's have a look at how that happened. And it's the same move we saw for the lead. And confirming it on the exit there for Mould, who's now up to 6th position. Something happening towards the back of the field, it looks like, if we're able to get a view on it. It doesn't look like we will, unfortunately, but we'll get back towards the front of the field then and see how that's all turning out at the front as it stands, and still running pretty single file at the moment for these drivers, and they are looking, they're seeing where is the potential to make an overtake. We're halfway through this race now, we're getting into the back end, and they will be looking to try and do something. Anthony Lama and Luciano Espinera have made their way past John Brown, and now they are trying to get past Demis Titchler. Andy Littler has sorted out his meatball flag and will come back out to the field as here comes Anthony Lama to the inside, and here comes Luciano Espinera to get that move past Demis Titchler as well, and John Brown, who has been behind Demis Titchler all race long, gets past, and here comes Daniel Downing and Daniel Downing, and he couldn't quite do it. It was just being shuffled there as Downing goes to the inside of Titchler, contact, and Titchler falls. He will continue to lead the Pro-Am field, but down now to 15th position. We are going to go and have a look to see if we can watch that shuffling. It started here. Demis Titchler through Wayne Lama, up the inside of Espinera. Here comes John Brown. Daniel Downing tries to get up the inside there, couldn't quite make it. And we're going to see here in the final corner, it's just a dive to the inside from Daniel Downing. A bit too late on the brakes, and just a nudge with Titchler there, who puts the power in to get the car going straight again. He loses a number of positions, but as I say, still leading the Pro-Am field, which is strong for him, but obviously he would have been hoping for a little bit more, as this is Gonzalo Oliveira going up the inside of Jack Brown. That's for 16th position. Brown is going to have to give up that position for the time being. Brown leading the amateur field, of course, up here in 17th position. Marhan Kodeman sits just behind in 18th, was looking to try and take advantage of the fighting that was going on in front of him. Hasn't been able to do that on this lap, but we'll continue to watch the drivers go around, as that was almost Jack Brown around through turn number 10. A big old slide there for Jack Brown, and I want to see if we can figure out what on earth happened there. to Jack Brown. It just looked like he pulled the handbrake all of a sudden. That's what that looked like. It really looked like he pulled the handbrake. Dan Mould going for the fastest lap here and for 5th position. Up the inside of Logan McKenzie. It swaps back around in McKenzie's direction here at the moment, and that will be the American of the 04 machine just holding up ahead as Dan Mould now looks to the inside to try and get back up towards that 5th position spot. Of course, Mould starting a little bit higher than where he is now. Started in 4th position, waiting off the circuit on lap number 1, but he is to the inside of Logan McKenzie in this recovery, and he's there. A little bit of a touch there as McKenzie tried to get this switch back up the inside of Mould. Lyon was already there, and it had to go the way of Logan McKenzie in that one, but Dan Mould holds on to top 5 and will be taking with him, as it stands, 3 bonus positions right now as Scotton has found his way onto the podium. As we were having a look at the fight going on behind, how has Scotton managed to do that? It's a slide from Auckland. He doesn't lose too much time, but it invites the door for Jaden Scotton, and the JC Academy Emerald driver is back onto the podium in this one. But Auckland trying to push through the final turn and regain the first podium of the season here in race number 1. Race number 2 will be coming our way almost immediately afterwards, so make sure you stick around. If you're watching over on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button and that thumbs up to show your support for SRL TV. If you're over on the Twitch, make sure that you hit that follow button to show the support for Joseph Wright Broadcasting. Right, we head up through turn number 4 there, so I lose my track numbers. Turn number 4 for this leading train of drivers. It is not the closest. We've got Kev Aylett here in the Jazz Esports chasing down Daniel Lewis. Daniel Lewis running around, of course, in the SRL green machine, in that 318 machine. Then we have got Stuart Gibbons sitting behind, trying to chase down right now part of Blade Designs number 47 machine as well. As like I said, so many teams this season, 22 teams out there competing with 50 drivers who will take part across the course of this season. It is going to be an absolute fantastic one, and one to really keep an eye on with the 4 class championships plus the overall championship this season as well. Lots to be paying attention to, and of course the team's championship as it stands as well, so lots to be focusing on. Flashing lights there from Stuart Gibbons. He just wants to remind drivers ahead of him, hey, I'm here, don't forget about me, I'm going to get involved in this fight at some point. That point is not right this moment though, as we've got 3.5 minutes left on the clock. We are going to be heading on to potentially the 3rd to last lap, could potentially be the penultimate lap of this one, but we're going to continue to see how it goes at the moment with Delmont ahead of Jack Bolton. Of course, Bolton starting from pole position, Delmont starting from 3rd, but it doesn't matter where you start, it matters where you finish. Bolton will take the 5 bonus points for pole, but he will not take the full points for winning the race here, nor will Adam Delmont take the full points out of this week, out of this race either, because Dan Mould has got those bonus points for the fastest lap. So those bonus points can really come in handy later on in the season. Those 8 extra points that are on offer, 5 for class pole and 3 for class fastest laps. They really do matter. JB DeJay here trying to get involved in his independent car this season. He's down in 25th position right now. It's 6th in class as he looks to the outside of Paul Hurley, another Pro-Am driver. He does get that outside line. Will he be able to hold it on the outside here, side by side with DeJay? stuck on the outside of turn number 6, but it will turn across his way for turn 7, and through goes Deshay. Paul Hurley down to 25th position. Thomas Coombe and Jeff Saunders second and third in the amateur field. Chase on behind here, looking to try and see who is going to come out on top of this podium. Jeff Saunders running around for the JC Academy Topaz machine, of course, and Thomas Coombe for the JC Academy Opal. So they are within sister teams here, although under different banners. Final lap of the race here has come out the white flag on lap number 11 here. Around the Jerez circuit, Adam Delmont leads the way by 0.3 of a second. Are we going to see last-ditch moves from any of these drivers that are right behind another one? Or are we going to see them happy with their results that they're going to see now? As it stands, Demis Titchler, he was knocked out of a top 10 with contact earlier in the race. Can he find himself on the reverse grid pole? It's certainly looking that way right now as the leaders come down towards turn number 6 in their train that has certainly separated out a bit. This is the 3-car fight for the lead of the 2-car fight, for the podium in the, this is the new semi-pro class. John Brown is leading that semi-pro class, keeping up with the pros ahead of him as Daniel Downing leading ahead of Andrew Lovesley here. Carl Hardy just behind as well, looking to potentially try and take that podium on the last lap as Kev Aylett looked for a moment to try and take 7th in class away from Daniel Lewis and get a top 20 overall. It won't happen there, but Adam Delmont is going to start the day off in the way that he wants the season to begin. Adam Delmont converts 3rd position on the grid to an overall race win, and it is issues behind through the final corner. Dan Mould and Logan McKenzie come home. Well, Dan Mould comes home 3rd, McKenzie 4th, Scotton 5th. Now it's changing. Lyon 5th, Scotton 6th. Borkland 7th. What happened at the end of that one? Contact. Borkland looked to get up the inside of Jaden Scotton. There's contact. Borkland came to a dead stop to make sure that Scotton held that position there. But a shame for both drivers, down and off of the podium at the end of that one. Let's have a look at the race results then from the first race of the day here at the Jerez circuit. Adam Delmont winning the overall race and the pro race ahead of Jack Bolton. Dan Mould came home in 3rd for the defending champion. Logan McKenzie, well, taking full advantage of the issues happening ahead, of course. Logan McKenzie came home in 4th with Will Lyon on 5th. Jaden Scotton coming home in the end to take 6th. He will be won't be too happy with that, I'm sure. Kim Borkland will come home in 7th ahead of Anthony Lama and Luciano Espinera. John Brown was your first ever your first ever semi-pro winner. And in that one, he came home 10th overall. Then we had 11th go the way of Daniel Downing ahead of Andrew Lovesley. Carl Hardy came home in 13th with Deck Crowther in 14th. And Demis Titchler, he still managed, even with the contact, to take a win in the Pro-Am class and will take pole in the final race of the day. Then Gonzalo Oliveira came home in 16th. Jack Brown winning the amateur race in that one ahead of Marhan Kodeman in 18th overall, ahead of Craig Walters, and Daniel Lewis in 20th position. 21st went the way of Kev Aylett ahead of Stuart Gibbons. Ronald Dion came home in 23rd position. JB Dejay in 24th. Paul Hurley came home in 25th with Jeff Saunders in 26th ahead of Thomas Coombe. Then it was Ben Gibbons in 28th ahead of Vigard Olsen Leah. Fraser Garrity took home 30th position. 31st went the way of Torburn Mayle ahead of Lucas Henschel. James Bown came home in 33rd position ahead of Yannick Van Reenen. Andy Littler came home in 35th ahead of Mark Draper, and Chris London finished that race 1 lap down and in 37th position. Right, that was race number 1 done and dusted. And we are going to have a little bit of a look here and see. I'm sure that he is not going to be too interested in talking to us, but we are going to pull the man who showed a lot of speed there into the commentary booth. It's Jaden Scotton. Scotton, it was going your way, looked like it would be a podium, and then it all went a bit awry. Ooh, I do apologise, Jaden. I can't hear you. We'll give you 1 second to get you sorted.
Oh, I'm ready.
There you go. We can hear you now.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it didn't quite go your way, Jaden.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing to say there, really. Well, nothing isn't obvious. I mean, he was 4 attempts back, I think, going to there. I don't know how I thought it was going to work, but it happened. But it was a good race up to that point.
It was. You were showing like you had a good amount of speed, as I say. It has dropped you down a little bit. What that does mean, however, is that you are going to find yourself a little bit higher up in the reversed grid position. So how are you feeling about that?
Yeah, looking forward to race 2. That is the one upside of it. But yeah, thank God for race 1, not race 2. So I've got a bit of an advantage race 2 now. So let's go in, see what I can do.
Do you think you could pull yourself up? Do you think maybe up back towards the podium, or do you think that's a bit out of reach?
Yeah, well, it's tough to pass here. I would like to, but it might have to be elbows out. I don't want to get too aggressive.
Wow. Well, I wish you luck, Jaden, in race number 2, and hopefully we'll be pulling you in because you've made a great drive towards the front.
Thank you.
Jaden Scotton there, coming home in the end, out of the top 5 following the last lap contact. And it was contact that was definitely avoidable. It was a late move trying to find a way through. But I think it is time to talk to the man who managed to find his way onto the top step of that podium field, if I'm able to, because he is so high up in this Discord, I might not actually be able to drag him down because there's so much going on. Oh my word. Let's see if we can try and drag Adam Delmont down here into this channel. I'm going to have to just drag him slowly. I had to drag you into multiple channels there, Adam. You were too high up in the Discord. It was a nice race for you, starting in 3rd position, and you managed to get it straight through towards the lead of that race, and it was just a commanding run at the front. How did you find that one?
Yeah, good evening, Joe. Obviously incredibly intense. It's not like I was given much room to breathe. Just had to, just keep taking the laps off, trying to keep it consistent. And I felt like I had good opening pace. I felt like I had edge on Jack just in the warm-up phase. I thought, if I can get past him quickly, I might have a better chance of holding him off than try to attack him later when his tyres had warmed. So, yeah, just went for it, bro. And then consistency paid off.
Certainly did. Now, reverse grids, they have been an issue for a lot of drivers, especially last season. Do you feel like you're going to be able to do anything from 15th? We just talked to Scotton, who said that overtaking here is quite tricky. So do you think you're going to be able to find your way through?
I always go for something, it just, you always need a little element of luck on your shoulder, I think, on reverse grids as well. You can be as good as you like, and if you're just unlucky enough to get caught up, you're unlucky. So it's just a case of try and fit in the gaps that open up and just be mindful of things that look like they might get a bit chaotic. That's the best you can do, really.
Well, we wish you luck for race number 2, Adam, and hopefully the chaos doesn't find you. I'll let you go so you can get gridded for that second race.
Cheers, Joe. Thank you.
Adam Delmont there, winning race number 1. And with that being said then, let's have a look at how the grid is going to start for race number 2. It will see the top 15 drivers reversed, which means that we are going to have Demis Titchler, the Pro-Am driver, out on pole position ahead of Deck Crowther. Kyle Hardy will start in 3rd position ahead of Andrew Lovesey. Daniel Downing in 5th ahead of John Brown. 7th position is going to go the way of Luciano Espinera ahead of Anthony Lama. Kim Borkland will be starting in 9th ahead of Jaden Scotton. 11th will go the way of Will Lyon. Logan McKinsey will start in 12th. Dan Mould from 13th. Jack Bolton in 14th. And the race 1 winner of Adam Delmont will be starting this one from 15th position. The rest of your field are going to be in order from their race 1 results. That's going to be Rivera, then Brown, then Codeman. Then we will see behind that Walters, Lewis, Aylett and Gibbons, De Jong, DJ, Hurley, Saunders, Coombe, Gibbons, Olsen, Leah, Garrity, Mayo, Henschel, Brown, Van Reenen, Littler, Mark Draper, and at the back of the field, Chris London. Race number 2 then is about to begin, and we are gonna find ourselves on the grid for this one. And you can see Demis Titchler there on the left-hand side of our TV monitors. It's the right-hand side of the circuit, the inside of turn number 1. Deck Crowther is on the left-hand side of the circuit, the right-hand side of our TV screens. And we'll be starting this one from 2nd position on that front row. From 2nd position in race number 1, we saw that driver dive to the inside. Now, of course, this one is longer. We are going to see 25 minutes on the board for race number 2. And we are green and away. There was slight movement in the background there as we head up towards turn number 1. It is going to go 3 wide in the background here, up towards turn 1. Can we keep it clean as pro drivers try to move through? That's Bolton, who's going to get a big knock from the number 20. Goes slightly sideways, holds it, but he touches Lama, and Lama's evening goes from bad to worse. He tries his hardest to keep it out of the way. He does so. Always with an inverted grid, you see just a little bit more aggression as drivers find their way through the field. But it has been issues for Anthony Lama, who falls down the order in the pro class there, side by side, towards the back of the field, as well as we head up now to back towards the front of this one. And Demis Titchler has done a good job of holding off at the front, the top 5 pulling away here. Espinero is the front of the pro drivers as he sits in 6th position right now, but Kim Borkland actually is the leader of the pro drivers. I should correct myself as it's side by side ahead, and Lovesey gets up the inside of Carl Hardy here as we head towards the end of the lap. It's side by side with Hardy up the inside, looking for an overall podium at the moment. Borkland just behind, gets to the inside of Lovesey as well. There's no contact there, they keep it all clean. And once again, Lovesey's going to be side by side as that's to the inside. Espinera trying to get up the inside of Borkland. It could become under attack here from Scotton, and Scotton gets past Espinera around the outside. Jaden Scotton now 2nd in class, 6th on the race, and it's contact for Espinera behind as McKinsey goes aggressive up the inside. Bolton to the inside of Jack Brown. I can't keep track of all the overtakes that are trying to happen here as these pro drivers push to try and move through the field. We head up towards turn number 1 again. Some late moves on the brakes here to try and make some moves up the inside. Bolton stuck on the outside of Logan McKinsey here in the fight for 8th position. It will swap over to Bolton's inside line though, and does hold on to 8th as it stands. The leading 3 drivers have opened up that gap, and right now Lovesey is the first of the drivers being under attack from the pros in this top 5 part of the field at the moment as they try to make their way up the order and on to the front of the overall field. It is movement behind as Delmont trying to get around the outside of Mould. Mould switches it over to try and get to the inside of Daniel Downing as they run side by side in the sister teams. There are lots of SRL machines out there, of course, 9 of them in this season across 5 teams, as that was Delmont trying to follow Downing through but Mould has got the speed on the outside. Now Delmont switches over to get the inside line, trying to keep it right to the rear bumper to follow through, and that's exactly what he has done. Dan Mould up to 11th overall. Adam Delmont up to 12th position right now. It's going to be tricky for him to move up the order, but he is following the defending champion as it stands, and both of them slowly trying to carve their way through the field. Jack Bolton carved his way through the field on the opening lap of the race, up 4 positions from the start. Right now he is the biggest class mover out there at the moment. As Demis Titcherer comes across the line, you can see the gap he's got over Deck Crowther, who's got the gap over Carl Hardy. Scotton goes purple, looking to get those bonus 3 points for the class fastest lap of the race. Hardy is going to be trying to defend as hard as he can from Lovesey and the pro drivers behind this new green semi-pro field. The divide between the pros and the pro-ams, that additional step between the two of them, it means we've seen a couple of the pros drop from last season drop into the pro-ams, into the semi-pros, and we've seen a couple of the pro-ams step up into this semi-pro class as well. As Lovesey just look for a moment to go to the inside, and Borkland tries to dive to the outside of Lovesey. There's contact, and through goes Jaden Scotton. Scotton now leads the pro field, but will want the win over all those points here, meaning over all points. They take their points even for the class championships based on the results from the overall race results. So each of these class inter-class overtakes, they do matter, they do make an impact on the championship, and of course alongside them fighting for their class championships, they are fighting for their team championships and the overall championship, where all the classes are combined into one. And right now Demis Titcherer, he sits in the 3rd highest class, so he's sitting in the Pro-Am field, that purple field, and is leading a very good job actually from pole to pull away quite so strong here. The fastest lap of the race bouncing between drivers. Dan Mould holds onto it at the moment towards the mid part of the field, and yes, we're looking at the 20th. This is the mid part of the field. The drivers also running in trains right now, just looking to see if they can potentially make a move. Borkland kicking up a little bit of gravel onto the circuit there. 19 minutes left on the clock as we watch Luciano Espinera of the Bike 500 team. He sits in 7th position in this race right now and looking to try and find his way through. It is 3rd in class for him. Lovesey to the inside of Hardy. Will it turn into an overtaking opportunity here from Scotton? Borkland tried it before, it doesn't work out for Borkland, but Scotton to the inside of Andrew Lovesey. They're side by side right now. To the inside once more goes Scotton. Lovesey stuck on that wider line, but it will switch back the number 3's way as we go into turn number 9 and now into 10. It's still side by side as Scotton's got the speed on the outside, and Scotton is through. Borkland side by side with Espinera behind as they fight for 2nd in class. Off the circuit goes Borkland. Bolton following, but nowhere near as badly, and Borkland falls down to 9th under attack here from John Brown and Dan Mould. Mould up the inside of Brown, and now into a top 10 position at the moment, but Jaden Scotton leading the pro field up to 4th now. Will be looking to try and get past Carl Hardy for 3rd, and then close down on Deck Crowther and Demis Titcherer if he is able to just find that little bit of extra speed once he gets his way through, and he is showing the speed. 2nd fastest in qualifying, of course. Dan Mould of SRL Rosso here, sitting in 10th position. He has moved his way into the top 10 and looking to fight long-time rival Kim Borkland here, as they had some great fights last season. Borkland Obviously, a big record holder. Most poles last season of 4. Most fastest laps of 9. And Mould is to the inside of Borkland. Almost to the inside of McKinsey. Has to back out of it. And it's a slide behind from John Brown. And a big hit with the wall. He will get himself facing the right way. But a big hit with the wall there for John Brown, and this is how that one occurred. Is it a nudge from Dalmont? It is a slight nudge there from Dalmont, and a big hit into the wall for the first ever semi-pro winner. He does find himself racing once again, and fortunately for him, there is no meatball flag. So even with the heavy hit to the wall, John Brown will not have to come down pit lane as it is side-by-side action through the final hairpin in the fight towards the front. Scotton has found his way onto the overall podium as Bolton, looking to try and get past these semi-pro drivers in front, is side-by-side behind with Espinera up the inside of Borkland, and here comes Logan McKenzie to try and get up the inside of Borkland as well, and he is there inside. Alongside, it gets through Dan Mould now, trying to get the speed on the exit. He won't be able to hold it on that outside line, but he could try to do it on the switchback as he will just have to wait behind for the moment. But you can see a whole host of pro drivers in front of him. Espinera visiting the gravel up ahead there will slow this chasing field of drivers down. But Demis Titchler, 10 minutes into this race, is maintaining a 2.5 second advantage over Deck Crowther right now. So Titchler is in with a brilliant opportunity to take an overall victory. It only happened once last season that a driver not in the Pro Championship won an overall race. Will it happen more often this season, or will the pros find their way to the back towards the front, even in these reverse grids? Now, of course, because the pro field is smaller than last season, because they've split the fields up into 4 classes, it means that we are going to see more of the variety of classes in front of the pros come race number 2, come the invert. And right now, Scotton has done a great job to move his way into 3rd, but you can see it's a second gap to Deck Crowther that he is currently trying to close up as it stands. Lights flashing there as that is Dan Mould taking to the grass to get to the inside of Borkland. Borkland swings to the outside for turn number 1. Mould backs out of it in the hopes that Borkland will overdrive the machine perhaps. Doesn't do it. Side by side for Delmont and Downing behind us. Adam Delmont moves his way into 11th, and Lyon looks to try and take advantage of Delmont unsettling Downing here, trying to get through up into 12th overall, but Downing pushing hard in the SRL purple machine. What can Will Lyon do in his independent entry? He is going to get to the inside line, move up into 12th position overall in this race, and Lovesey still behind Carl Hardy. This is the fight for second in the semi-pro field. Here comes Jack Bolton though. Lovesey doesn't fight it too hard, allows Bolton through, potentially to try and take advantage. If he can stick with Bolton here, when Bolton gets past Hardy, could he potentially take advantage of that and also get through right now? Jaden Scotton is down to half a second behind Deck Crowther, so we could see that change in position very shortly. There they are going through our screens. This is still that fight for 4th position now overall, being led by Carl Hardy, who has done a great job of keeping cars behind him. So has Andrew Lovesey. How is Deck Crowther going to fare when he gets Scotton over his rear end? I said down to less than half a second at the front, and here goes Bolton to the inside of Carl Hardy again. Hardy doesn't fight it too hard there. He knows he's got Lovesey behind him, and if he wants to fight a bit too hard, Lovesey can take full advantage and get through. A number of cars down pit lane through accidents there, heading out of pit lane. They'll try to stay out of the way of the cars coming through on the lead lap of this race. Bolton does stay ahead of Carl Hardy as Jaden Scotton here pushing hard, is right behind Deck Crowther. Are we going to see Scotton make the move for second overall here? I anticipate it will be through Kerbe Danny Pedrosa, turn number 6, which is the upcoming hairpin. It'll be a great opportunity on the break for Scotton if he is close enough. Still 2 seconds back at the moment though. 2/10 of a second back. Is he going to make that dive? No, he sticks to the outside. He does close up though to Crowther, even heavier than he was before. Onto the power on the exit. And he's just looking in front of him thinking, how can I make this overtake? Because I only have 10 minutes to get past Titchler, who has been leading this race from the inverted grid pole. The Dutch driver there doing a great job in the Hydro Race Racing Forces machine. The number 22 Pro-Am driver is leading this race, and I think at this rate, with how fast he was showing to be in race number 1, we could see Titchler promoted into that new semi-pro class before we enter the 4th round of this season. But Titchler not having the best of laps this time around. That gap down to 1.6 seconds. We still remain on board. Jaden Scotton here chasing down Deck Crowther and seeing if he's able to try and get through. It is 10 minutes on the clock. We're looking at about 5 more laps of asking, potentially 6, with the length of these laps being 1 minute 50. Actually, I would say 6 laps remaining here. Again, Scotton's all over the rear of the Blade Designs driver of Deck Crowther, but he's just unable to make that pass as it stands. We're all trying really hard to push on, and he's going to want to try and make a move through as quickly as possible because Jack Bolton is behind and closing right now. Dan Mould, fastest lap of the race, sits in 10th, and here goes Jaden Scotton. He moves to the right, he tucks back in for Slipstream, and he's back to the right again. Jaden Scotton doesn't get much defending there from Crowther, and Scotton is through into second and will have 1.7 seconds that he is going to need to catch up to Demis Titchler. He has 9 minutes to do that, and on the last lap he gained 0.7 of a second over Titchler, but his best is only 0.2 of a second better than Titchler, so Titchler doesn't have some poor laps. He should do okay as McKinsey gets past Andrew Lovesey there and moves up into 6th in that pro field. Carl Hardy still at the front of this train of drivers. He's now running around for 5th position, keeping the drivers all the way down to 12th position. Very busy indeed, certainly, as Espinera looks to try and get up the inside of Lovesey. That's Borkland, incredibly wide through the final turn, and Dan Mould gets through. Over the timing line they go, side by side, as Delmont now tries to get around the outside of Kim Borkland into turn number 1. He wants to try and hold it there, he can't. He visits the gravel, and Will Lyon now can put Delmont back down to 12. This has contact with Borkland. They were 3 wide. There was nowhere for Delmont to go as he was pinched in that manoeuvre. They are still side by side, Borkland and Delmont here. They run for 11th position in this race. It's moving around ahead as Delmont does get into 11th. Mould is in 9th. There Will Lyon. Lovesey holds on to 8th position right now. Gravel being kicked up as Borkland's looking aggressive to try and make this move here, but Dan Mould also looking to try and get past the semi-pro driver, and Delmont dies to the inside of Will Lyon, and it turns into a very aggressive move there from Delmont that almost works in his favour. Just a tiny tap. I'm not saying it was a bad move at all, just a very late move that almost worked out for Adam Delmont. Lyon there will hold on to 10th position, stands, but he visits the gravel, and it's going to open the door for Delmont. There's a little bit of contact though, slows him down. Borkland now goes to the inside as Delmont visits the gravel, and they are going to run side by side through turn number 10 up towards 11 here with Borkland on the right hand side of Delmont. continuing to run side by side as they head through 12. Can they all keep it on the track? They certainly can. Dalmont's going to have the inside through the final corner here, and it will go the way of Dalmont Borkland. Not able to do a switchback on that really tight corner at that speed, and will have to just hold on behind for now as we head up towards turn number 1. Scotland has closed the gap to the lead down to 0.6 of a second here. So Demis Titchler has been doing a really good job at holding the overall lead of this race as it stands. Half a second stand between Titchler and Scotland. Scotland looking for an overall race win to match his class win here as we head up now through turn number 5. The curve Cito Pons from Adam Dalmont and Kim Borkland's fight that has sort of settled themselves down now. John Brown will have to visit pit lane for a penalty. He has picked that one up for the incident limit, reduced this season to 15, of course. So the semi-pro driver will have to visit pit lane and will not score very good points in this second race of the day. Dan Mould up to 8th right now, looking to try and get past Luciana Espinera, who has been driving with well, I would say a big pair between his legs, because he's been pushing it very, very hard on a number of his overtakes. He's not been hesitating to make moves, go defensive, go aggressive, and it has led to some small bits of contact, but nothing major. And I think that's exactly what touring car racing is about, is that small little nudge, that little kiss that we saw there from Andrew Lovesley on the back of Dan Mould. And that's about all you need in the touring cars to get it to just do what you want ahead of you, so you can try and make that move. And that certainly happened here from Lyon, who then touched Lovesley on the rear just afterwards. Almost waiting for the move into turn number 1. He's going to try it into turn 2 with a switchback. There was a defensive moment there from Lovesley, a little bit of contact, realised he wasn't clear, went back onto the racing line, and through goes Will Lyon up to 9th position. This is now the fight for the lead, as Scotland has made his way past Demis Titchler, and we are going to see how that occurred. It happened in the final corner of the lap, the same way we saw the lead change in race number 1, and Jaden Scotland looks to the inside, I'm sure. No, he doesn't. It is on the exit. It's a late move there from Titchler. Scotland then gets to the left-hand side, and they are running side by side. It's up to turn number 1. It looks like that this overtake is confirmed here as Scotland goes around the outside. Titchler is still there as they continue to ride side by side in towards turn number 2. Scotland carries it deep, and it will be where it switches across the 3. There's almost nothing that Titchler can do on that wide line. What it did do, though, is invite an opening behind for Jack Bolton. He has moved his way into second, knocking Titchler now down to 3rd position, but Bolton managed to do that as we headed up towards turn number 6, and see getting a really good exit there out of turn 5, side by side between Bolton and Titchler in what was the fight for second. Titchler losing the lead of the race at the start of the lap. Bolton gets the inside bit. It's not over there, because Titchler is going to try and push back and try potentially to make another move through. He looks to the inside and see just how close he is here in their fight. He dives once more, and that is going to be that. He will have to hold on to 3rd position, and will try to keep on to an overall podium, which will still be an absolute great race from the driver in the Pro-Am field. Dan Mould still with the purple there, but this is the fight for the overall race lead. It is between Jaden Scotland and Jack Bolton at the moment. 0.2 of a second separate them. Scotland lost out on a race 1 podium after contact on the final lap at the final corner. He leads here on the penultimate lap of the race with Jack Bolton behind. If he can come across the line to take a victory here. He's going to be happy, but he's hit again. He is hit again. Jack Bolton pushes into the rear to make the overtake to win. Jaden Scotton is going to be fuming after that one. There was absolutely no need for that from Jack Bolton as we head up towards the final lap of the race. This is on board Jack Bolton in that move. He gives the position back to Jaden Scotton. Jack Bolton gives the position back. There's the contact. And it looks like he's realised what's happened. Let's see if we can find where that position has re-changed for the lead here. As we go on to the white flag lap, we're going to have to go back live because it is side-by-side action. We will have to have a look at what happened there. But it was a return on position there for Jack Bolton. He's given the position back to Scotton following the contact. That's exactly what you like to see. It has invited Titchener back into this and Logan McKenzie up here now as well. But Scotton would be fuming, but now he's going to be a little bit more level-headed, I'm sure, but he knows he's been hit off twice now across the course of this evening. He is leading the way. Can Jaden Scotton take victory? As it's to the inside for Jack Bolton. Again, there's a little bit of contact there, and it's going to invite Logan McKenzie in. It wasn't a forceful move, that one. It was a great move that time for Jack Bolton. Scotton down to second. McKenzie is right there in third position now. We head up towards turn number 9 as we count down the corners. And the end of today, the sun begins to set. Jack Bolton is leading the way. He got pole in race 1. He couldn't convert it. Can he get the race 2 victory here? Scotton was looking for a race 1 podium. It looks like he will get a race 2 podium. Will it be a race 2 victory? It's going to be all about the final turn here. It's defensive from Bolton. Scotton, let's get to the inside scare. Bolton wide. It might have worked. It's going to be side by side from Bolton and Scotton. But Scotton, is he going to have enough? No. Jack Bolton will win ahead of Scotton and McKenzie. The top 3 separated by less than 0.2 of a second over the line. Titchener wins in class, Crowther wins in class, and Jack Brown wins in class. What an end to that one. What an end to race number 1. Let's have race number 2, sorry. Let's have just one more look at that as we come up towards the final turn. It was an attempted move there from Scotton to try and get through. You can see how close they are. Here comes McKenzie, and that is the leading 3 drivers across the line. What a race. It was. Could have been a win from Scotton, but you've got to take that second place, and ultimately Bolton did let him through and then made that move better with a more clean overtake afterwards. So we'll definitely pull Scotton in for another interview though after that one. But race 2, Jack Bolton wins the overall and the pro class after taking pole position. He's not able to convert race 1 into a win, but was able to convert race 2 into that race victory for him. Jaden Scotton not able to take the podium in race 1, managed to do it, you can see there, by 0.08 of a second behind in second position. Logan McKenzie took home third. The top 3 separated by less than 1.5 of a second. Demis Titchener there, just 0.6 off of the lead, took home 4th and won what is the Pro-Am field ahead of the semi-pro winner of Deck Crowther, who obviously is in the higher class. However, the reverse grid certainly helping Titchener, but I'm thinking Titchener will find his way up to the semi-pro class if he continues the way that he did tonight, because he did show some really good pace in his machine. Deck Crowther coming home 5th overall and winning the semi-pros ahead of Luciano Espinera. Dan Mole came home in 7th ahead of Will Lyon, Adam Delmont and Carl Hardy. 11th position went the way of Andrew Lovesey ahead of Kim Borkland. Daniel Downing came home in 13th ahead of Codeman. 15th was the way of Jack Brown, who has taken a double amateur win, but I think we may see him potentially up into that Pro-Am field before the end of round number 3. As I've hit the wrong button there, we'll keep on going. After Jack Brown was Gonzalo Oliveira in 16th. 17th was for Ronald de Jong. 18th went where Stuart Gibbons had a Paul Hurley, and JB Dejay rounded out your top 20. You then had Fraser Geraghty. Then you had the next in Yam class, Thomas Coombe. Then it was Kev Aylett and Lucas Henschel. Ben Gibbons there in 25th out of Chris London. Daniel Lewis in 27th. Yannick Van Reenen came home in 28th out of Vigard Olsen Leah. Mark Draper was a lap down ahead of Torburn Mayle and James Brown. 2 laps down with Saunders and John Brown. And out of the race was Andy Littler, Anthony Lammer and Craig Walters. Right, let's see who we can pull across into the booth for that one, because it was an incredible race, and I think that it is only right that the first person that we pull into the booth once again for that one has to be the man who we talked to after race number 1. It didn't quite go his way. It almost went perfectly for you, Jaden, in race number 2. There was that contact on the penultimate lap, giving the position back, though. It was a tough fight. You came home in second. You got that podium.
Yeah, I mean, Fleck could have been a bit cleaner. You know, he did give a place back, to be fair, but I then had to go on defensive because I had to take the inside line out of that last corner. Put it back to a little bit, but it was a good race. It was a good race.
It was. You recovered well. You moved up the order. You were showing that pace. You caught up, of course, to Titchler, who was leading, and you got straight through. You weren't making, you weren't waiting around. That final, that contact, obviously, it caused some problems, but you are showing some good pace. Are you feeling confident then, heading into the rest of the season, that you have got that speed, that you're going to find your way towards the front more often?
Yeah, fingers crossed for that. I mean, I wasn't too confident going tonight with Jerez, but it was good. It was good, especially at race 2. There's a few times where it could have gone horribly wrong, but made it through. Showed good pace both races. Yeah, I think hopefully more podiums could be on the way this season. Maybe a win. You never know.
Well, consistency is what matters, of course. We've seen the drivers who don't always take the most wins, poles, fastest laps. They still find their way towards the front of the championships towards the end. So that podium is a strong way to end the first week. We obviously head across to Motegi next week, then a very different circuit. Are you feeling like you might have the similar sort of pace there?
I have never driven it on this game, so time will tell.
We seem to have that quite a common theme. Almost nobody had driven this circuit. We head into another circuit that's quite new for a lot of drivers. So an interesting selection of tracks, of course. It's going to be a good, strong season, and we wish you luck. And yeah, hopefully we'll be talking to you not just for more podiums, but some of those wins perhaps as well.
Thank you.
Jaden Scotton there, coming home in second in race number 2. And the man who almost benefited from the issues ahead of him, it was the closest podium finish I have ever seen. Logan McKenzie coming home in 3rd position on that second race of the day. How is it looking for you on that last couple of laps?
Can you hear me? Am I good?
Oh, you're all good there.
Excellent. Yeah. So those last couple laps, that was just pure money to me. The fact that I caught Demis to get 3rd was I had already settled for 4th, and then they all started scrapping ahead. He came back to me, and so to be there at all, to actually have had a chance to win the race was far beyond my expectations. I loathe Jerez. I loathe circuits like this. So many long sweeping corners. So I felt like I was fighting with one hand tied behind my back out there. I was just not fast.
It's you say you weren't fast. You were able to find obviously your way towards that front because of the issues. And like I say, the end of that the end of that race was extremely tight, but you did make your way through. So let's flash back a little bit further backwards in the race and how you made your way through, because it wasn't the easiest to get past all of those, what is the new semi-pro class. It certainly looked like the pro drivers, yourself included, having a hard job getting past them all.
Yeah, in this circuit, there's people taking the entry curbs, not taking the entry curbs. There's a lot of different braking points. I kind of ran to the back of Luciano while overtaking him, just kind of slid by him because he braked so early. I was like, I have to overtake him. But there were a couple other times where it's like the banking for a couple of these corners encourages you to turn in early. And if you're looking at your mirror, you're going to turn in even earlier. So some very close calls in braking zones because of that. I think I made contact with at least 4 of the cars that I overtook. But I mean, that's the way you have to race. Because if you don't do that, then people are going to do that to you. I mean, I had it done to me in the first race. I just got ate up because I was slow. So whenever I got a chance in this race, I had to jump on it.
Wow, you were you showed that that's all you need to do in race number 2. Take advantage of that reverse grid. It makes it challenging. We've got a good selection of tracks coming up, of course. A massive field of drivers. How are you feeling about this season as a whole? Do you think you're going to be able to find your way towards the front more commonly as we head through the season?
I think this is definitely, looking at the calendar, probably my second weakest track. I'm not a Hungaroring enjoyer either, so we'll see what happens there. But Motegi, looking forward to it. It's going to be a struggle in the Honda because of the straight line speed, but it's a fantastic track. I've driven every layout of it on this service in TCRs, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, very different from talking to Scotton, who said he's never even touched the track before. You've driven all the layouts of the circuit. It should be a fun one next week, and hopefully we'll be talking to you again, finding your way up into that podium and potentially going for a double podium. I think it's something that is rare, but if you've got the pace, you've got the pace.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the goal, is to just finish on the podium every race. I think there is enough chaos in this series with the reverse grid, and it's a very strong grid to begin with. So just finishing on the podium every race is the goal, and then maybe we can bring home that second title.
Wow, good luck for the rest of the season, and hopefully we'll talk to you a little bit more.
Thanks.
Logan McKenzie there, coming home, the final man on the podium, and we're gonna pull across some other drivers just very quickly as we head up towards 11 o'clock here, and we are going to talk to the defending champion, Dan Mould, defending overall and pro champion, of course. Not the evening that you were probably hoping for on the first round of the season, Dan. It was a bit of a challenging one for you, but some great fights.
Yeah, we always knew it was going to be tricky this season with the amount of drivers who've entered and the quality of drivers who've entered the pro class. So I'm actually quite happy with the results. I think I got the bonus point for the fastest lap on both races. Had a bit of a poor lap on race 1, but I managed to claw it back. But yeah, it's going to be tough. It is not going to be easy at all. This is what I expect throughout the season. Like I said, we've got some really quick drivers in here. As you can see, Jack, he's, what was it, race 2, second, race 1 he won, race 1 he second, race 2 he won, and it's just unbelievable pace. So racing quite a lot on the officials, and I know what to expect. But yeah, overall, I'm well happy. Hard track, very, very hard track. As you said in the introductory, the off tracks, they're brutal. And they play on your mind when you're racing. You don't want to, stack them up, and you're trying to stay on track, but you're also trying to find a different line. And yeah, it's really is an amazing track, but a tricky track. Roll on next week.
So next week, heading across to the Motegi circuit. It's one that we've now had Scotton, who said that he's never touched it before. We've had McKinsey, who said that he's driven every single layout in the TCRs. How about you? What's your experience with the Motegi circuit?
it's one of my favourites, Motegi. I've always done well there. But saying that, I've not really raced against the caliber of driver that we got in this league, so I expect it to be tricky again. The whole season's going to be tricky, Joe. But you know, this is why, you know, we got them in to not make it easy. And I wouldn't say it was easy last season, but there's a lot more drivers in there who all of them have got a chance of winning the Pro Championship. And the field as well, you know, the other classes as well, they're all competitive drivers. So yeah, we'll have to put some time down and see what we can do.
Today is going to be a challenge to try and defend your title, but as you say, everyone who's in that Pro Championship could definitely find their way to the top of the pros, and everyone in each of the classes all have those opportunities. With 4 classes this season, it means that there's a lot of overall fighting going on out there, but a lot of class fights as well, and as you say, very, very strong drivers. So we wish you luck for season number 10 in your defending of your title. I'm sure you will find your way towards the front again, and you say you're happy, of course. We do have 2 drop weeks, so if this is one of those circuits you find yourself further down, well, that's okay, because you're going to find yourself recovering some points later on in the season.
Yeah, I don't believe this is going to be a drop week. I think this is going to be one of my stronger weeks. But you never know. I didn't have confidence around here at all from the start. I saw the pace of Adam and Jack in the practice, and it was tough going. But there are some good tracks, and I've got a bit of time. So yeah, practice makes perfect, as I say.
Well, good luck with that, Dan. We'll definitely be talking to you throughout the season as you head your way through the championship and see what sort of results you can get. We'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you, mate. Bye.
Dan Mod there, coming home. 5th position in class, 7th position overall in that second race today. He talked about race number 1 having some issues towards the start of that race. He certainly did, starting up inside the top 5, visiting the gravel on the opening lap of the race. Was a way to find himself off the gravel on that one as we finish on today's broadcast here at the Jerez circuit. It has been an absolutely fantastic evening of racing as always, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed as we return to the commentary booth for the second time tonight. And it has been a great start to the season. Mold there talking about the fact that he took the bonus points for fastest laps. In fact, he said bonus point for the fastest lap in both races. That's not the case. It's not a singular point. It is a triple point for both of those. 3 points for the fastest lap in race 1 and 3 points for the fastest lap in race 2. Those fastest lap bonus points are per class, so every driver in each class has the opportunity to get them. Same with the bonus points for pole position, which is 5 points. But here, from the Jerez circuit, it is job done. Drivers have found their way to the points on the board. At least they've started their work off. Drivers not attending tonight will obviously take it as a drop and will hope to gain some points later on in the season as drivers start to drop pointed races. But from here at the Jerez circuit, it is over and done with. We are back at Motegi next week from 9:15 p.m. GMT once more. See who is able to find their way to the front. Bolton then with the pole position to his name this season. Delmont and Bolton with a win apiece. That will be added to the overall tally that is being added up on the Joseph Wright Broadcasting.com website. And you can check out all of the stats for the SRL TCR League from the start of season number 9 over there. If you want to catch up with all of the race highlights of season number 10 as we get going, then head across to the Joseph Wright Broadcasting YouTube channel. You can catch up with all of the highlights for the races as they get released as this season goes on. If you're watching over here on the SRL TV YouTube channel and you haven't already done so, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You're going to be notified when we go live for each of these races, and hit that thumbs up to show your support to the stream as well. If you're watching over on the Joseph Wright TV Twitch channel, make sure you hit that follow button as well, and you'll be notified when we go live for the SRL TCR alongside all of the other wonderful broadcasts we have coming up this year as well. well. But for me, Joseph Wright, here at Joseph Wright Broadcasting, and for SRL TV, we wish you a brilliant good night, and we will see you next Friday for round number 2. So until then, goodbye.